Georgia Tech on Labor Day. It's a 23-point spread. Will Georgia Tech keep it closer than that?
Nope. Don't think so, Greeny. If they get 23 rush yards, I would be surprised. Clemson's defense is one of the best in the country. They're going to be really, really good. It's going to be tough for Georgia Tech. It's going to be a tough season for Georgia Tech, period.
Then let's talk about Georgia. That's the defending national champ. That's near and dear to your heart. They're a 17-point favorite against Oregon tomorrow. Will that game be closer than 17?
Yes, I do think so. I think Georgia's just replacing, like, dude, we were just at the draft, Greeny, and we heard 15 Georgia players called. Like, surely there has to be some form of a hangover, some form of a growing phase. And meanwhile, Oregon returns most of its production. They got a transfer quarterback in Bo Nix. I think they can keep it closer than that. They're not going to win, but keep it closer.
All right, that's a great game. And then tomorrow night, of course, is the monster game. Ohio State, a 17-point favorite against Notre Dame. Will that game be closer than that?
I don't think so. Tough situation, Green, to open with Ohio State, all their firepower, completely healthy, and you got to come to the horseshoe. I just think it's a really tough ask. I think this has a chance to be one of the greatest offenses we've ever seen in college football history. Notre Dame breaking in a new quarterback, breaking in skill positions out wide. I don't know, man. I don't see it staying close.
That's a big statement. C.J. Stroud and Ohio State may be one of the best offenses that we've ever seen. So, David, I've heard that pretty much universally all week long. Everyone loves Ohio State in this game. So, for all of us, myself included, are getting set tomorrow night to sit down and watch the game on ABC. Give me something that we might see in the first quarter, something that we'll see early in the game that will say to you, David Pollack, hold on a minute, Notre Dame has a chance here.
You need to look at your watch, Greeny, and go, man, that was a fast first quarter. That's what you need, because Notre Dame needs to shorten that game. What is Notre Dame known for? They're a big physical team that runs the football. They better run the football. Tyler Buchner is their new quarterback. He's very athletic. Have some designed quarterback runs. Use your big boys up front. Test this Ohio State defense. You notice we keep talking about the greatest offense, all this. Defense, new defensive coordinator coming over, Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State. Last year when we saw him against Oregon in a big non-conference showdown, Oregon embarrassed them, ran the football right at them. Their defense didn't have any answers. Last year, late in the season against Utah, their defense didn't have any answers against Michigan. So Ohio State's defense has to be much improved this season. But if Notre Dame can run the football, be physical, and shorten the game, that's their chance.
All right, I like that. So if we see a first quarter and Ohio State only has 1 or 2 possessions and Notre Dame is running the ball, then maybe we'd be looking at ourselves at a huge upset. Okay, because I have you here and we'll have you all morning long, let's get it right off the bat. Give me the final 4 teams. This is the beginning of the season. When we get to the end, in your opinion, who are the likeliest 4 teams to be left standing?
I got Alabama, I got Ohio State, I have Clemson, and I have Utah. I think Utah is a team that has a chance early in the season against Florida. Will show us a lot about them. Dude, Bama's going to be, not only are they going to be mad, they have a team coming back with the best offensive player, one of the best offensive players, one of the best defensive players in all of college football, who are great leaders, and a guy named Nick Saban. So I'm going to go ahead and put them there. Ohio State, we just talked about them and how dynamic their offense is. I think their defense will learn on the fly. And I think Clemson, I'm assuming Clemson's going to bounce back offensively. Now, I think they might make a quarterback change a la Kelly Bryant, Trevor Lawrence, like they did back in 2018 to maybe make this happen.
And Russell Wilson agreeing on a 5-year, $245 million extension that includes $165 million in guaranteed money. That's the 3rd most in NFL history. Here was Russell Wilson after the deal yesterday.
I had an amazing first, decade of my career. The next decade, I'm really excited about. I think that we want to make this a destination location. I think that it's one of those things. We have amazing tradition, an amazing football team. For me, it wasn't really about how much necessarily. It was about how many Super Bowls we can win. I wanted to be here for a long time. I believe this is a marriage, and you want to be here for a long time. And my goal is to be able to finish my career here.
All right, so let's dive into this one deeply. Mike Tannenbaum, you were with me yesterday. Jeremy Fowler here. Dominique, you were with me yesterday when Adam Schefter broke the story while we were on the air. And my immediate reaction was slam dunk all the way around. And then the day went on, Dominique, and I was somewhat surprised to hear a bit of a narrative emerging asking the question, will the Broncos regret this long and extremely expensive extension with Russell Wilson? What's the answer to that question, Dominique?
Absolutely not. Like, I understand the argument that Russell kind of unleashed with new ownership, first-year head coach, and with like out of the structure of Pete Carroll's kind of restrictive offensive philosophy, that maybe he's not going to be the player that he was in the past. And he wasn't playing that well towards the end of his time there last season. I can understand that argument, but I think it's absurd. Like, the game is a football, and life in general is about risk. And this is not a high risk. He's a great, great player. And right now they've locked him up until 2028, I believe, at 2022 prices. So this is a smart deal for the Broncos. It's hard to imagine a team that's been in quarterback purgatory for quite some time regretting locking up a guy that is a Super Bowl caliber player and gives you a chance in just about every game with that talent that they have around him.
Mike T, if you were the general manager there, would you have had any pause about the deal they did yesterday?
No, because you have a chance to win a championship, as Dominique just alluded to. Look, when you look to your left and your right, it's Patrick Mahomes and it's Justin Herbert. So it's the cost of doing business to play in the AFC West. But with that said, Greeny, from 2024 to 2025, his cap number goes up by $20 million. So they will lose some good players in a couple years when his cap number is about $55 million. That could be Patrick Surtain, Javonte Williams, and that's not ideal. But you know what? Playing quarterback with Drew Lock isn't ideal either. So you get the quarterback and you put as many good pieces around him, and now they have a chance to compete year in and year out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the people who are complaining about this deal or questioning it are the ones who have ones who root for teams that have great quarterbacks. Because there are two kinds of teams in the NFL: those who have guys like Russell Wilson, and those who desperately need one. That's the way I see it anyway. And you all know where I come from on all this. What'd you hear around the league after this was announced yesterday?
Well, the key is Seattle here, because, you know, asking around the league, they were not saying let's ride to this contract a year ago when they decided to trade him. You know, they were feeling like we need to rebuild our roster. We're not going to go all in. They knew if they kept Russell Wilson there, they would have had to have redone that deal in a major way. And they wanted to get better in some other areas where Denver said, hey, have you seen our quarterback roster the last 7 years? Like, we are fine with this contract. And they can get out of it down the road. It's not fully guaranteed. So after 4 years, if there's some sort of decline in play, they can move on. They are certainly not expecting that right now.
Fair enough. And look, the fully guaranteed piece of this, I understand that's an important part of this story in the big picture of the NFL. But I still want to stay on the specifics. Dominique, I feel like people are downgrading, underplaying, underrating, and understating Russell Wilson. I still consider him to be in the handful of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Maybe he's not Aaron Rodgers, and maybe that's always been his problem, that he sees himself as Aaron Rodgers and he isn't. But he's only a half a step down, which puts him a full step at least above almost everybody else. How good do you think Russell Wilson is right this minute?
Yeah, I think Russell Wilson is great, but I'm not sure that he is like all-time great, which is what we thought he was on the trajectory to be. And we saw what happened to kind of his career, and it's not terrible, obviously, but we thought that the league, and I think he thought that the league was going to be handed over to him after Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers aged out. They never aged out. And then a bunch of young guys showed up and started playing better. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And it feels like he's kind of this lost guy in the middle. And I think that he probably has a chip on his shoulder because of it. So we can expect him trying to come out and reestablish himself as one of those all-time greats and kind of take back the league that I think he believed would be his if those old guys would ever hang it up, even though it seems like they're never going to.
Yeah, well, look, Brady is still there, and Rodgers is still there, and maybe sometimes to some degree they give people the wrong impression of what we should be perceiving an old player to be. One way or another, Mike Tannenbaum, there was a list of quarterbacks in the NFL who you say, I've got him, I've got a chance. There isn't any question that Russell Wilson is still on that list, right?
Exactly right, Greeny. And again, the inverse is catastrophic. And you know it being a Jet fan over the last couple of years when you have question marks, or you look at the Colts who go from Carson Wentz and Phillip Rivers, Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett. If you don't have that position solidified, you have no chance, especially in the superpowers of the AFC when we talk about Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, on and on and on. So at least they have a chance. And he's not ideal. He's a little short. He's 33, but he's won a championship. You can win championships with Russell Wilson. He's probably not top 5. He's certainly top 10. And again, the alternative is you have no hope.
Nick, why are you making that face? Is it because I became collateral damage with the Jets in there?
No, it's more because,
listening to Tannenbaum talk about how you need these great quarterbacks today, and also listening to him yesterday talking about how people need to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. It just is an interesting juxtaposition or contradiction.
Well,
if you think
we appreciate you watching.
Hold that thought. We will get to Jimmy Garoppolo a little later. Super quick. Does this have a major impact on the Lamar Jackson situation? That's the other part of it, and we'll deal with him mostly later. But the guaranteed money piece of this, what did people around the league say about it yesterday?
Well, the feeling around the league is that Lamar Jackson's going to want stronger guarantees on a deal, which is why